Hi, it's Colleen. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here with another installment of my Minutes to Make series, and this time we're making pumpkins. It's just in time for Thanksgiving. These are perfect decorations to put on your holiday table or just around your house during the fall. The smallest pumpkin uses a piece of fabric that is 9 inches in diameter. The middle pumpkin is 13 inches in diameter. And the large pumpkin is 17 inches in diameter. You can adjust this to make whatever size pumpkins you want. This is just the pumpkin sizes that I have made and sold over many years at craft fairs. I'm going to go ahead and transfer these sizes to Swedish tracing paper just to have a better pattern for the future. There we go. There's our large, medium, and small pumpkin patterns. I'm going to iron these so that they lay flat, and then I'll be right back. Here's what you need to make these pumpkins. We have our patterns. We have 3 pieces of coordinating fabric that are big enough for the patterns. I have embroidery floss in a color that coordinates with my pumpkins. I have a large-eyed needle that can fit the embroidery floss. I have this wired ribbon, which I'm going to use on the top as decoration. And I have some scrap pieces of felt. I have brown felt for the stems and green felt for the leaves. You'll also need to have a glue gun. So to start, we're going to go ahead and cut out our circles. I have scraps after I cut out my pumpkins, but don't throw these away yet. We're going to do a leaf for each of the pumpkins, and you do want to make the leaf in scale to the pumpkin. So the biggest pumpkin gets the biggest leaf, and so on. I like the way these look stacked up. So I'm going to cut my leaves out of this fabric and out of this fabric. But for the pumpkin that is the largest pumpkin, I need something that will contrast, and this will not show up very well. So for the largest pumpkin, I'm going to do one out of my red fabric. I just use a scallop scissor. It's like a pinking shear, only instead of being pointed little zigzag sawtooth shape, it's more of a rounded shape. Now it's time to stitch up the pumpkins. The nice thing is we don't need a machine for this project. We can do it all by hand, and it doesn't take very long at all. So I have my embroidery floss here, and what you need to do is measure 3.5 times the diameter. That's 1, 2, 3.5. That's how much you need to stitch around the edge of the circle as well as to finish off the pumpkin. So I've got my needle, and I'm going to go ahead and thread this. I want the entire strand of floss. All 6 threads that are in that strand go into the needle at once, not the other end. Now we're just going to start anywhere you want to in this circle, and we're going to do a very simple running stitch about 1/4 inch from the edge. And you can see I'm just taking big chunks of the fabric. It doesn't have to be very precise. We're not even going to see the stitching at the end. This is just to gather it up. So you can see I'm just going to whiz right along here. You can see we have a little pouch, and we're going to stuff it with polyfill. You do need to stuff it fairly firm, but the amount of stuffing you put in there ultimately is up to you and the look that you want it to have. We're going to kind of distribute those gathers around the edge so they're not all bunched up in one spot, and we're going to pull it tight. So before you tie it off, we're going to wrap this around the pumpkin. And you can see this is where we're going to start to get that pumpkin shape with the segments and the lines that go across it. Now you're going to take a stitch through the fabric on the opposite side of where you just come around the pumpkin and pull it tight. Now we're going to do that 3 times to divide this into 6 segments. Now, when you're done with that, you're just going to take some stitches across the top to secure your floss. And there we go. We'll trim this off. And now we'll just redistribute the thread around the edge to make it even so that it's about 6 equal sections. There's our first pumpkin. We're going to repeat that process for all 3 pumpkins before we glue anything. So there's our 3 pumpkins ready to put stems and leaves on. The next step is to make the stems. So I've cut my strips roughly 1 to 1.5 inches wide by 3 inches long. And I'm just going to roll them like this from the short end all the way across. But as I roll, I'm going to allow that to kind of roll unevenly, if that makes sense. We want it to look like this on the top, just to have a little dimension. And now I'm just going to hot glue along the edge. Don't glue right at the very edge, because if you do, you'll be able to see it on the finished project. So glue in just a little bit from the edge. And now you can see that this is proportionally, it's way too tall for the pumpkin. So we're just going to snip off the end. I purposely like to cut them bigger so that I can adjust them to match the pumpkins that I'm making. So that's still a little tall. That might be good for the middle one right there. So we'll set that one on top of the middle one, and we'll do the next one. Obviously, this is a mess on top with all of our stitching, and we want to cover that up, so that's part of the purpose of the leaves. I'm going to glue on this green felt one first, and I'm going to intentionally place it to cover up some of that stitching. And then I'm going to glue the fabric leaf on top on a little bit of an angle so that you see both leaves, just like that. And then right on the join, we're going to glue the stem, just like that. There's the middle one, and now we'll do the last one. You can end it here. You can add some pipe cleaners to create little tendrils. You can see in this image that I went ahead and covered up some wire with floral tape to make like little vine tendrils on the top, which gives it some visual interest, and it covers that glue join. For these, I'm going to try something a little different. This is wired ribbon, and you can see how I was able to shape that into a little curlicue, and it looks really good with this fabric. I'm going to start by just taking a length, and the length of it is up to you. And I'm going to find the center of it and put a little bit of glue on there to hold it, because I don't want this to come off. And now I'll just tie that around and create the tendrils. And there you go. Adds a nice little bit of interest at the top. The final step is to just clean these up with a lint roller to make sure all of those fuzzies and pieces of glue are removed. And there you go, a completed set of pumpkins. These make great hostess gifts. They're wonderful for decorating your holiday table, and they look great on a mantle or on a piece of furniture in your home. If you're looking for a craft fair or Etsy product, this is a great project because the materials don't cost very much and it doesn't take that much time to make. As I said in my last video, time is money, so you need something that you're going to be able to make quickly and be able to sell for a good price. This project sells for about $20 for a set of 3 pumpkins, and I sold every set I ever made. I hope you enjoyed this project. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Instagram if you want to keep up to date with this channel. Thanks again. Have a great day.